Hello, Perspective listeners and viewers. Perspective is back. I'm Martina. This is
Lisette.
We are Perspective. Let's see. This is what I think our fourth video now.
Yep.
We're talking about being plus size in America. We spent the last two videos talking about just our general lived experience. We got into social media, entertainment, and we spent the last video talking about fashion. And we touched a little bit on jewelry and shoes and things like that. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about what does it mean to be plus size in America in terms of healthcare and medicine, and how is that viewed? And we're probably going to go off on some tangents here because I'm thinking this is going to be interesting. I'm still thinking, Lisette, so jump in. I'm like, okay.
No, I think when I think about healthcare and what I've heard around healthcare, it's typically around how when a plus size woman goes to a doctor, talks about like whatever is ailment you have, whatever might be hurting, or there's an issue, the first thing that's always said, well, you gotta lose some weight.
True. Yes.
It goes back to your weight, you're fat, whatever. And I think that is the problem, because I can't believe that everything has to do with my weight.
It's because it doesn't. It really does. Even my mom, for instance, I love her. And my mom, I think my mom's she's not a big woman. I think she's like average size. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, I got to get on the scales when I go to the doctor. And I want to get on the scales. And I'm like, Mom, you look great. She's like, well, you just being nice, baby. And I'm like, no, you do. But it's something she's always thinking about. I got to get on the scales and they got to weigh me when I get there. I would say I hate getting weighed at the doctor, but we'll come back to that. But I think, that is a good point. Because from the little research that I did before we started recording, I was trying to do a little research, like I said, seeing what's out there. I did see articles talking about how dismissive that physicians can be around your diagnosis or giving you a diagnosis or a prognosis. And it's oftentimes, this is done more so with their plus size or bigger patients. Yeah. Everything is kind of equated to, oh, you need to lose weight. Oh, it's because you're big. And in these articles I was reading, actually physicians are actually saying, yes, there are many physicians, that's how they operate. That's what they do. They always recommend you need to lose weight, or watch what you're eating, watch your intake. Okay, are you doing this? And I'm if I come here talking about, my lipids are high or something, okay, yeah, I'd probably, but it's a headache or migraines or things I'm not a medical professional, but I think it's a little ridiculous. And especially it's very one-sided and biased if you're not doing this with all of your patients. Now, if you are doing this across the board, then maybe that would be a little bit better. But then again, people often equate, if you're thin or skinny, you're healthy. And people can't you can't be bigger, you must be unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. There are plenty of skinny people who are just as unhealthy. It's just that they might have a different sort of metabolism or a different makeup than you. We all are different. But it doesn't mean they're healthy. But automatically, I feel like doctors and people in general, if you're a bigger person, they look at you like you're automatically unhealthy.
Yeah.
Why can't you just be people say, some folks are naturally thin, naturally skinny. Why can't people be naturally big boned or whatever we want to say, naturally big? It's it's more acceptable, of course, as we've been talking about in the last few videos, to be thinner, and how that's equates to being wealthier or whatever, more educated, or now you're healthier. And it's but that's not always the case. But is even medical physicians who have gone to medical school, years of training, 10 plus years, think this, without anything founded. Like I said, if you have high lipids or you have different things, then yes, it might be related to your weight. But for some other ailments, sometimes simple ailments, how is that really tied to your weight?
But even the idea that, especially like if it's your first time visiting a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing, like if they look at, this, I equate it to people looking at someone and all they see is their skin color, and all they see is like, oh, it's this fat person, whatever's wrong, it's most likely going to be because they're fat. We're gonna have to recommend them to lose weight, change their eating habits and all this stuff. And I'm over here coming in with like, a broken ankle or something, like my ankle hurts. Like I sprained it. Like, what can I do? It hasn't gotten better. Like, that has nothing to do with my weight.
Carrying too much weight. You have to lose weight. That's why your ankle hurts.
I'm like, I sprained it though. Like,
that's
where it's, and I've come across doctors who only ever focused on my weight, and it's like, it's such a thing. And I think growing up, and this is going a little more deeper, like growing up Latino, a weight always kind of comes up. Mm-hmm. But even I think with some Latino doctors who were some that I saw, like it was always about the weight. It was always about like, well, and they make your parent feel guilty. They're like, well, what are you feeding your child? What are you doing this? And it's like, okay, but my ear hurts. Like, so.
Nothing to do with your weight. Nothing to do with what they're feeding you. It's an earache.
But there's always this connotation of like, we want to make you skinnier. And then now the conversation is like, well, you want to be healthier, and and I get it. Like, there's a lot of things that come up with being overweight, obese, whatever, like all these other health issues that could arise. But if you don't have them at the moment, just treat me as if you would treat any other patient until blood work or whatever tells you otherwise.
Exactly.
If if I have high blood pressure, if like I said, my cholesterol's high, if my blood sugars, like all these things I could, like, okay, then you can talk about lifestyle changes. You can talk about what I need to do, how it would benefit if I lost 10 pounds or whatever. We can have that conversation. But if I'm coming in with whatever, just to have a checkup, because I've done it, like where I go for an annual checkup. I remember one time they were like, have you thought about, what you would want if you want to lose some weight? I'm like, I'm just here for my annual checkup. I want to see what my numbers are.
I'm just getting a physical. We
can talk about
something different. But
I was like, and it's this idea that makes you feel bad, or like, I don't know, makes you just feel like less than, because it is a medical professional that's talking to you. It is someone that obviously you think has the best interest at heart, and I'm sure there's doctors out there that do, but I think there's just a better way for you to communicate your concerns to someone, and they need to be trained on that. I mean, we talked about medical field having to be trained for a lot of things, how they handle people of different races and how they talk to them, but also within the plus size, and and you're like, you have to look at me as a person and not as my weight or not how I look.
And it's interesting you say that, because we've talked about that about physicians on previous series, but it is a thing where, to me, a doctor's bedside manners tells me everything I need to know about them. Because like you said, apparently some of the doctors we have seen who do not have great bedside manners. And I don't care where you went to school, where you went to training, but bedside manners, how you treat someone, how compassionate, how you show empathy, especially as a physician, anyone that's in the medical field, you're supposed to help people. Like, I know probably a lot of them get into it for the money, because they do make a lot of money.
Yeah, you do make.
But hell, as we've seen this last year with COVID, has money really been worth it for everything that has happened in the healthcare industry? So it's like, yes, the money's one thing, but to me, if you're going to be in this industry, especially as a doctor, because most people with their physicians, they trust you. Like they're coming to you to tell them like what's wrong, or like you said, to get a physical or annual. They're coming to you. Like most people trust their physicians. They trust what they have to say. And it can just make a world of difference if you're just empathetic and compassionate towards that individual, especially, if they are a bigger person or if they're a smaller person. It shouldn't like somebody's weight shouldn't dictate how you treat them. Like we're saying, if you're coming in for like, I just hurt my elbow, I think something wrong. Your weight, you might have leaned on it a little too hard. Okay, like Patricia, what does that have to do with anything? I'm making up who Patricia is. She's a doctor right now. But it's like, what does that have to do with anything? And I think like you were saying how it makes you feel bad. In one of the articles I was reading beforehand was saying they actually have plus size patients or people who avoid going to the doctor for that reason. And that should not be the case. They tell you to get a physical and they call it an annual for a reason. Like you should be getting regular checks up of your body, dentists and all that stuff. But especially like just looking at your labs and your blood and all that, people avoid it because of how they've been treated or how they're afraid that they might be treated from what they've heard from other people. They don't even go to the doctor. And that's sad. Like you could have some really deep underlying issues and they're not even getting treated because of how their doctor or the potential of how the doctor would make them feel about their weight. That shouldn't be to me, that's not a physician. That's not a doctor. No.
And it's so maddening to hear like people not wanting to go to doctor just because of that.
Yeah.
Something that has nothing to do with, the care that you're getting. It's just because that it's going to be brought up. And it's really because I'm currently looking for a new doctor because the doctor I had was just annoying me because there was a lot of focus on the weight of things. And I was like, I just can't. But it's hard because you're like, gotta go through the process, find a new doctor, go. And if it happens again, you're like, I can't escape it. Like
it's all around you. Yeah.
It's all around because it's like this whole idea of like, oh, have you thought about, and then they always say like, you're so young, like you don't want to get older. And like I know all the thing is, y'all really think we don't know these things.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing. Like we all know that being overweight can lead to some other health issues. Most people do. Most people know. But the thing is, our systems and our society, our environments aren't set up for people to succeed in losing weight. Like that's point blank. Like if you have I know I've tried to lose weight and people are like, you gotta just have willpower. I was like, that's not enough.
No, it's not.
You just gotta pray. God will help. I was like, God will help me, but it's not.
I don't know about that. He'll help you, but I don't know about that.
But I'm like, I don't know how much. I'm like, I pray for him to take the fat away just so I can wake up skinny.
Oh, see, that's sad though, man. Like you shouldn't
That was when I was younger. I had a whole much more image issues. But it's one of those things where you sort of now looking at where we live and understanding the work that you and I have done professionally, you just know that we're not set up to succeed.
No.
We don't have access to a lot of things that we need for us to be successful. Just even our work and life balances are so off.
They're very off. And everybody's just different. It's different across the board.
And it's what works with one person won't work for another. And it's and it's just very interesting on how when it comes to the healthcare industry, it somehow it's this thing that they see of you and it's like, oh, it's because you're fat. Like, I can't even imagine like going into an emergency room. Like, I wonder how many overweight people get overlooked in emergency rooms just because they're like, oh, it's probably just, you know,
it's something related to their weight.
Their weight or something, or even just going to the doctor where serious things might just be overlooked because they're just focusing on the weight. Like, I haven't researched. Is the one thing I didn't really research this time around. But I'd be curious to kind of even just talk to some medical professionals, you know, and learn and see like what their perspective is. Because I'm like, because the ones that I've come across with have not been I don't think I've had like the most positive experience with a lot of the medical field.
I would say, you know, which is again because you're a Mexican woman, I'm a Black woman. We're really not expected to. If we look at all the statistics,
yeah,
the experiences that we hear around women of color when they go to the doctor, just in general, and then you add if you are plus size on top of that,
yeah,
we don't have that many good experience. And listen to you talk about how in the industries that you and I have worked in, you know, access to things is critical. And I'm not saying, of course, just because you have access to better food means you're going to be a skinnier person.
Right now.
But things like access to food and the neighborhoods you live in and the built environment all plays a role for many people in terms of maybe how their weight looks. Like, you don't know. And the thing is, like, you don't know internally and mentally what somebody's going through as well. And then again, like, the person may be of sound health and mind, and they may just be big. You know, I think we've spoken on this, maybe our first video for the series, like talking about Lizzo and how, I don't know if she is a vegan, but she, on her TikTok, she wants a lot of vegan food. And she like works out, you know, so by all intents and purposes, she's healthy. I mean, I'm not a physician, but just from seeing her videos, how she's worked out and like how, you know,
she's leading a healthy lifestyle,
but she's still a bigger woman. So what? It's like, you know, if people, they just this thing, they just, like I said, they think because you're bigger, you may not have this or you're not doing that, but you could be like, you might be going to the gym every day, or you might be working out in your backyard 3 times a week,
or there are underlying issues that aren't allowing you to lose weight.
Exactly. There could be other things, and that's what things like, I don't think that's often talked about enough. And there are a lot of health conditions that are associated with weight and can make you gain weight.
Yep.
You hear them talk about fats
that are overlooked, particularly with women. Like, I don't know why I'm on this side of TikTok, but I'm on like PCOS side of TikTok.
Okay.
With women.
All right. Okay.
I don't know. The algorithm has brought me there.
Brought you there, girl.
A lot of the videos that I've seen come up, both from like OBGYNs and women that have PCOS, they're like, we have to either exercise differently, eat differently if we want to lose weight. Because if you have PCOS, it is harder for you to lose weight. And I was like, I never heard about that. Like, I've had friends who have PCOS, and they mention like, oh, you know, it's a little harder to lose weight, but you know, sometimes they're like, how you do it? But there's like, I just saw one today where they were like, even the way you work out has to be different. Because this woman was sharing her story. She was saying, I was, you know, going to the gym. I had a membership here. I was every day. It's like, I lost 0 pounds. And then I changed the way I exercise. I did something differently, and the weight started coming off. And I was like, traditional recommendations don't work for everyone. And I'm like, and if you're missing those underlying conditions, if you're not digging in deeper with a person on what's really going on, particularly with women, because I think, like you mentioned, women have, you know, aren't always taken seriously. They're not given the test that they need to be given to really find out what's going on. But then you tack on being a woman of color, and it's a whole other ballgame. And it's like, and the thing is, if you don't even know how to be your own advocate in a medical, like when you go to the doctor, and you don't know the right questions to ask. You don't always know, because you are hoping that this doctor who went to school for years is going to be thinking about your best interest. And our healthcare field is not set up to have really long one-on-one conversations with the patient. Like you're lucky if you get like 15 minutes with the actual doctor.
Maybe.
You know, most of the times you're talking to the nurse, the MA, they're taking, and then you have like 10, 15 minutes with the doctor, maybe. It might be less. It's depending on what you're going, and then they're out the door, and then you just talk to the nurse, and you're like, okay, here's a pill, go feel better. And if it doesn't work, then just make another appointment, as if we all have the time available to just keep coming back in, or going to another specialist, or like all these things. And it's like, man, again, like the field isn't set up for even patients to know what to do or how to ask or how to navigate it. Again, the work you and I, we deal with this and see it all the time when it comes to access to healthcare. And unfortunately, you probably have to be at a certain income level to be able to get the care that we all should be getting.
All of us, when we see our doctors, should be treated like we're a white CFO named Chad.
Yes.
All of us should be treated that way.
I'll bring some water to that.
Yes. All of us should be treated that way. And yeah, like we're not. And I just think it is this thing again, and I was, like, I'm trying to think how to put this. I think because here in America, like access, I think excessiveness is a thing here that people kind of focus on. If you listen, go to other countries, or even hell, just watch the news or get on TikTok, you would hear other people from other countries always talk about the excess here in America and how people are bigger. And yes, so like here, to me, that ties back into capitalism, because there are many countries around the world who have not allowed franchises like Burger King and McDonald's to come to them, because they know the detriments that industry can have on their population. Now, I don't know the financial side of it. It might be a financial part of it too, but unlike, America, which, Lord, America is backwards and unevolved as we are in many ways.
Yeah.
In terms of people's access to different foods is really kind of mind-boggling, because literally, if you look in like you said, some of the communities that you and I work in, sometimes that's all people have. They may not, they may not have home cooked meals every day, or they may not have access, or maybe they don't know how to cook and they order out all the time. You don't know people. So did you raise your hand?
I raised my hand. I do not know how to cook.
Oh, your mama knows. That's what matters. That's what
matters. One day.
But you don't know people's situations and why. Again, and this is not to say, sometimes nothing can be wrong at all. But I think, physicians need to really, I hope they take that into the consideration, because again, where you're living, who you're living with, where you're living with, how much money you make, all those things impact everything, pretty much everything in our life is impacted, especially, your food and nutrition. And so I just think, I don't know how often physicians are taking that into consideration. And again, even if this person lives in the best of neighborhoods and they can have home cooked meals every day, they can work out when they get ready. Like you said, it may be some underlying issues going on. And then again, it could be nothing going on and they're just a big person.
Yeah.
Just a big person.
It's just going to take longer. And it's okay. Like this idea that you have to lose weight in like 2-3 months or like 5 months or whatever, like it's this notion. And most people who have successfully lost a lot of weight will say it takes 1-2 years to really, in a healthy way, lose and get to where whatever your goal weight might be.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're looking to lose more than 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't expect to do that in like 4 or 5 months. Like, it's gonna take a year or two to do that in a healthy way. And I think you're right. I think it's important to kind of think for the healthcare industry to start thinking, and it's kind of going in that realm of like they're in the built environment and then seeing what people have access to, but it has to just catch up sooner and quicker. Like, it just has to, because like you said, I mean, I think about just where I live. I mean, near me, like if I really wanted to walk somewhere and get something to eat around here, I got a taco place at a corner. There's a corner store right here where I can give me some chips, a little honey bun.
Yeah.
I can just walk.
That honey bun be so good. Oh my god.
It's good though. Ooh,
So
that 59-cent honey bun.
so good.
Oh, good. I mean, nothing wrong with the honey bun. I'll go get me one. But then I walk just a block over. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. There's a Burger King. Like, all these things, none of where I'm gonna order me a salad. Like none that I'm gonna be like, oh no, I'm gonna get me fries or whatever. And it's like, but if I leave my community, if I go somewhere else, I'm gonna bump into like a place where they just sell salads, where they have smoothies, where they have these protein bowls, like all these things that allow a person who does not know how to cook to be like, you know what, I'm gonna, 2, 3 times a week, I'm gonna buy me dinner at these places because I know it's healthier. But around here, I mean, there's a lot of taco places around me, like a lot of them. And they all have the thing that might be good. So I might go. So there's a lot of like Mexican places around me, but that is part of your environment. Like, whatever you are gonna eat, whatever is near you.
Yeah.
And like I live with my parents, and like you mentioned, my mom cooks. I remember when I was talking to one of my doctors one time, they're like, "You just gotta eat healthier. You just have to like cook." And I was like, "I don't cook." So we just gotta learn how to cook. I was like, I have no interest in learning how to cook. Like, it's just point blank. I was like, well, who cooks? I was like, well, my parents. My mom does a lot of the cooking. I was like, well, maybe I'm like, you want me to ask my mom to change her style of cooking?
Right.
Or like, well, I'm like, I get it. Like, if she wants to change her style of cooking because she wants to eat healthier, that's on her.
Definitely.
I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, Mom, make me my special meal.
Yeah. And knowing your mom, because your mom's so sweet, she probably would make it.
She probably would. And don't get me like, the thing is, we're talking about cultural changes too.
Yes.
And I think the healthcare industry, because it's so reaped in white supremacy, does not take account the cultural nuances that are within Asian communities, Latino communities, Black communities. They know about it, but they don't want to speak on it. They don't want to go into it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's this whole thing, like, you want me to eat plain chicken breast with some salad on the side? That's boring.
That's boring, but that's often what they want you to eat.
Have some spinach, have some browns. That's boring.
Like egg whites and spinach. Like,
how do I make my mom's meals healthier? Tell me that, so I can give her the recipe. Be like, look, Mom, can we try this? Let's try this out.
But you mentioned like it is, you saying people who have lost weight the healthy way and done it, the right way. It can take a year. It could take a year. It could take years. And the thing is, it's not about a diet. It is a lifestyle change. So if you're trying to, lose a fair amount of weight, even if it's just maybe a few pounds, maybe if it's a few pounds, people do like crash diets and stuff like that. And which is why it never stays off, because you're going to go and eat that salad and chicken for like maybe a month or so. And then, once you get maybe, you're trying to fit into a dress, or you got to go here, whatever, then it comes right back, because you are not it is like, to truly, I think, lose that weight, you do have to make a lifestyle change. You just can't eat a few salads and drink a few smoothies here and there. It has to be something you do on a consistent basis. And you might have to be working out a few times a week or whatever, a few times a month to lose that amount of weight. And I think, again, people don't often understand that. And, you know, we've seen it with, like, you know, folks, again, like Adele, you know, she's like lost her weight the healthy way, and people still want to talk shit about her, you know, because she lost weight. And it can't, you know, like you said, you know, when you're a big, like if you've been a big girl and then you lose weight, it's just like you can't win for losing. They mad at you because you're big. They mad at you because you lost so much weight. Well, which one is it? Shit. You know,
just let me live at this point.
Their lives. Like, it's, you know, and I think, you know, physicians, healthcare, medicine, all of it, medical school, they are behind. And it's, you know, sad because, you know, America's looked at it's one of the most advanced countries in the world. But in terms of our healthcare industry, we are so behind. And, you know, I blame that on insurance and big pharma, because I do wonder, like, how would it be if doctors could actually spend time with their patients? Like 30 minutes or an hour, 45 minutes with each patient, and not trying to check off and make sure they send this insurance claim in and all that, to really sit down and understand people and have that bedside manner and, like, you know, really, you know, tell me what's going on. Let's talk, you know? Again, like you say, that's not how healthcare, the industry is set up here in the United States at all.
Like, I hear about clinics, you know, who are in the community who have this like team care based approach for like chronic disease. So you're talking about like diabetes and cholesterol and high blood pressure. I was like, how about we just have that for everybody? Like, how about you have this team-based care for just people, you know, especially people who have said, hey, I want to change my weight. I want to change. I need it. But you need so much support, nutritionists, dietitians. You need someone that's just going to be there to like answer questions and do that. But because, I mean, I'm with you. Like, it's this whole big pharma, insurance. If you are sick, you are making these industries money.
Oh, yes.
You know, and I don't know what the incentive is to have people be healthy and have access to professionals that can help them in the way. Because sometimes it can be psychological. You're going to need a therapist to kind of help you through whatever, you know, thoughts you might have, trauma you might have that comes around just your weight. And nobody talks about that.
You don't.
It is so rare that you hear someone talk about, like, hey, you know what? Do you think you need to talk to, you know, to a therapist? Do you need, like, we would recommend for you, like, you know, just to kind of help you get into whatever, or talk through whatever. And it's like, but nobody talks about how it does take, like, as you were talking, like, it does take this, like, team-based care approach to people who want to lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying you're going to force it on everyone that comes into your office, and like, but if they express an interest and say, it's just really hard for me, it takes a village. Like, I am 100%, like, it takes a village for one person to be able to lose weight, and it takes having your environment around you support that, have people are going to be supportive of you, you know. And it does take, you know, I think your physician and those that to understand for them to be there, but we're not set up that way. We're not set up in a way where if it isn't a pill that's going to help you, and they could just, you know, prescribe it, whatever. Or if you're not at a chronic disease stage, then they're not going to invest the time. And that's unfortunate. And I just thought about that right now, and I don't know what to do with it, because now I'm like, I want to change that. I want to talk to a physician. I already have a physician in mind, and you know him. I might have to reach out to him and be like, I need to talk this through with you.
Give him a phone call.
Give him a phone call.
Give him a phone call. But, you know, you mentioned a lot of great things then. And what kind of made me think about, you know, when people are seeking, stomach band, the gastric bypass. Yeah. I think one of the requirements is actually talking to a therapist.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm like, and I mean, I think that's great. You know, I have a therapist. I think everybody should have a therapist. I think so. We do that for gastric bypass surgery, and like I kind of get it. You want to make see what people's frame of mind is. But why don't we offer that sort of services? And again, I don't know how that's in terms. I don't know if that's like a separate payment or how that's done with insurance again. But it's like that's something that is required. But it's like, why is that sort of help not required for people who are trying to lose weight? Because like you said, it's really hard, especially if you're really legit trying to make that lifestyle change and trying to like really eat healthy and work out and maybe not have that scoop of ice cream or maybe have that one scoop, but that's it, like
it's so hard.
It's so hard, and it's like, where is that assistance for those sort of individuals? And it's, I think about that. And then again, here living in the United States, like I said, it's such an excess country. And we live in a country that contradicts itself all the time because again, it is a land of excess. But they're like, well, just because you have that McDonald's on the corner or such and such, whatever, well, why are you going there? You don't have to go there. There are other options for food. But why are you allowing those industries, the fast food industries, to be in this, like, so you have allowed them in this country. They're here because the United States government has allowed it. And so now it's basically like you're trying to say, well, we want them here because it helps our economy, but you still shouldn't be eating that.
Yeah.
So it's like, which one is it? Again, like you can't win for losing. And it's just it's so stupid and so silly. Again, when we see shit like, comments, people say on TikTok or Instagram, when people make certain posts. And again, I think you and I might have touched on this in another video. It's like somebody's obese or overweight. People don't give a shit about that. They just like, oh, it's so unhealthy for you. Like, you need to like not eat that. Motherfucker, first of all, you are not worried about that person's health at all. Yeah. You just want to be mean and be hateful. Because if you're really worried about somebody's weight, you wouldn't be saying mean shit like that to people you don't.
You would try to say something helpful.
Yeah, you would try to say something helpful instead of saying like such and such. Or like if somebody's like on there like, hey, I'm trying to lose weight. Anybody got any recipe suggestions? Like, even if they don't, even if people are like, because on TikTok, things can get really serious. And I think, people are on there often struggling with different sorts of things. But, sometimes instead of people being supportive, again, it is internet and people are shitty. Yeah. But try to be encouraging to people. Like, instead of saying, oh, you need to watch what you eat. Like you said, these are things we know. We're not stupid. We
thought about them.
We looked in the mirror. We look at it every day. We know how we look. Okay. The world knows how we look. You ain't got to say that. And it's just, to me, it's fascinating because the world, especially the United States, is such a contradictory of itself. Yeah. It's like, they really do want to have it both ways. They want want the cake and eat it too, whatever it is.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't know.
And it's so interesting because the United States, because it's so money hungry, it allows these things and its citizens are paying the price for it.
Yeah.
They really are. The citizens are paying the price.
Yeah, so, I'll go back to Texas. But you kind of made me think about how probably healthcare professionals might not be able to speak out a lot because there is big pharma, there is, the insurance industry, there is this whole thing where maybe there are doctors. I know there are doctors out there that want to change the way the healthcare industry is. They want to do things, but some are just tied to whatever because there's just this whole thing, like the big hospitals of our country are so, are in bed with, with big pharma, with, with health insurance companies. And, when you think about how, healthcare professionals who might want to move away from Western medicine and they get, trashed on for, you know, like they're like, oh, well, it's not evidence-based.
Right.
It's not real. It hasn't been tried and all these things. And it's like, but it's worked in other countries. Why couldn't it work here?
Exactly.
Like, why can't we just incorporate it? If like a person is just not getting better or is not having the results that they want from traditional Western medicine, what is so wrong with having some healthcare professionals who use other forms of medicine and approaches to it? Like, at the end of the day, isn't it my choice? I mean, for women, it might be different because this country doesn't care about women's choices at the end of the day. So, you know, but for our video purposes.
They care right now for this.
Like, we care. We care. And we will fight to the end to make sure that others will care.
Okay.
But, you know, I think it really just makes me wonder, like, how many healthcare professionals out there feel tied to whatever, whether it's their place of work, whether it's just the way the system is, and there's really no changing it. Like, I don't have the answer. I don't know. There's a few doctors that I you know, either work with or know, who I'd be curious to have a conversation like this of what, you know, their thoughts are. But it's something else, I think, for us to think about and explore in the future when it comes to the medical industry in general. But, you know, even just when it comes to this perception of and biases and prejudices against fat people when they come and visit. And the idea, I am a firm believer that wherever I go, they'll see this. They don't know I'm Mexican because they'll be like, this Latina woman over here.
Because, you know, they want to clump you all together.
They want to clump, and they're going to be like, you see the Latina coming in, and then they'll see the weight. Like, that's probably the way it goes in my head.
I mean, you're right. For some accounts, that's what they see.
You know, and it's like, and that's what they'll see, and that's what they're going to base anything that they talk to me about on those two factors first.
Yeah. Yes, they absolutely will. And you know, you say, you're talking about what is it going to take? I don't know what it's going to take. Because, I mean, everything we're talking about are systems. Like, this is the way this country is built. So, you know, as we're always saying, as we talk about white supremacy and just capitalism, patriarchy, these three things really are all interconnected, and they are all part of these systems. And
They've influenced so much.
And they're so interwoven. The people, people don't know what they're gonna do. So these are things that have systems things. And you know, one physician, I don't know, can one physician make that change? I will say, if it's a physician that's probably named Chad, he probably can, because he's white. And
he can start it.
He can start the movement.
You can start it.
It's gonna just take I've been saying for years, I make it sound like I'm so old. I've been saying like
you make it sound like you're like in your 50s or something.
Especially like with these glasses on tonight. I just feel like, you know, I'm so wise. Medical schools need an overhaul. They just,
oh my gosh, yes.
You know, from, like I said, from just bedside manners to how they treat somebody based on the color of their skin. I remember reading an article a few years ago, medical students saying that they thought Black people had tougher skin than white people. And, you know, I'm just like, these are the doctors going out into the world, baby. This is scary. I hear some of these doctors out here really thinking, like, what the fuck are they teaching y'all in medical school? And I'm just, it just to me is like everything we talk about on here. It needs a complete overhaul. And that's just what it's going to take.
Well, with that, I think we can close this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or comments, if you're on YouTube, please put them below. If you're listening in from the podcast, please DM us on Instagram or find us on some other socials. But these topics, this whole kind of series, obviously it's really close to our hearts. It's something that we live and breathe on a daily basis. And we're definitely will explore more in the future. I think we'll definitely explore some of these topics in the future. But let us know if you want to like correct us on some things. Please feel free. We are open to corrections. We're open to dialogue. We're open to learning from others. But I think as we continue just these different series that we have a new one, and you'll see it coming after this episode. There'll be a whole new series. We won't give too much away. Just if you just follow us on Instagram, we're gonna be kind of talking about that. The only thing I'll say, it is focused on women, from a women's perspective. So we're really excited. We've been working with that the last few months, and we're excited to kind of see y'all's feedback, and we look forward to hearing you. But Martina, any last words about this whole series in general that we kind of are wrapping up?
I don't think so. I'm excited to have this series go live, and also, like you said, the one that's upcoming, and a few other ones that we're thinking about in the pipeline as well, probably early next year. So just because you may not see us or hear us sometimes, we're working behind the scenes.
Yes.
Stuff, and we got some good stuff coming up. And so just stay tuned, and everybody have a wonderful rest of your day and perspectives. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.